Hey everyone, I'm so excited for this live stream today because I have an amazing guest, Graham, and we're going to be talking about accessibility. We're going to talk about some of the recent changes first to get Graham up to speed on what's happened in the last kind of week. And I haven't live streamed in a couple of weeks, so well, I'm a bit nervous. But while I kind of get myself sorted, I'm going to let Graham do his intro, and I'm going to share his LinkFree link. It's not a good start. LinkFree link in the chat. Graham, please give yourself an intro.
Just so everyone knows, Eddie said Linktree instead of Linkfree to let me off the hook. It was on purpose because he knows that I'm going to make that mistake at one point at least. So, hey everyone, I'm Graham, and I'm currently unemployed, but I'm looking to get into DevRel stuff. So, Eddie's a great person to learn from, so hence why I'm here. And obviously, I have a massive passion for accessibility. So I'm looking forward to hopefully not making Eddie cry too much as we go through the Linkfree project. And for once, I'm actually hoping that we do find accessibility issues, because otherwise this will be a very short stream. And I've deliberately held back from looking for them. So if there aren't any, this is going to look very silly on me. So a bit of a gamble.
There will be many. Don't worry. There will be many. So before we get into that, and Graham will share his screen and so forth, let's talk about some of the changes to get Graham up to speed. By the way, everyone who's here, don't forget to follow Graham. I put his Linkfree link in the chat. You can find all his socials from there. How many of you have created Linkfree profiles? Let us know in the chat. And if you haven't, let us know in the chat as well. We want to know. There'll be lots of green squares in this live stream because as Graham finds accessibility issues, I'm going to ask you all to create issues, and you can create pull requests if you want, and all the rest. So it's going to be fun. So the change we made recently, we have your profile. You have to contribute to open source to create your profile on Linkfree. You need to create a JSON file, and we have great docs on that. The quick start guide will get you going. But we wanted to have a database so we can add more functionality and add forms later and more features and all the rest. So as a stepping stone to get to that, as I was adding the forms, trying to manage the app, trying to manage the JSON files as well as the forms became very complicated. So Dan, one of the Linkfree maintainers, suggested it a while ago, but it took me like 2 months to kind of to twig. He's like, why don't we put the JSON files into the database? And if people want to manage their profile via the JSON files, that's fine. Every time you deploy, you just load the JSON files in the database. So we're doing that now. So you still manage your profile at the moment by the JSON files, but the app only knows about the database. It doesn't actually know about JSON files. So it simplified a lot of code in the app. It will make contributing a lot easier and so on. And then it allows me this coming week to do forms. So you can manage, if you want, your profile via the forms. And the app won't change because it's still reading out of the database. So a big shout out to also Produma, Dean and a few others and Dan, who really helped me with the loading of the JSON file. I thought it would be really easy. Actually turned out, as always, to be so much harder. It took me 6 weeks of hard work to actually load those JSON files in because there's so many different conditions and different situations. Tech life, right? So that's where we're at now. So Graham, hopefully you're happy that we are using a database for the app. The app only knows about MongoDB and no JSON files, apart from the loading script, which is one file. So hopefully you're happy with
that. Very happy. I didn't know I was going to be passing judgment on your choices of tech, but
Cool. Okay, sounds good. And so that's where we are with Linkfree, and forms are coming out soon. But accessibility, this is something that I'm super excited about being good at, for Linkfree to be good at. And I don't think we are. I know there have been Emma's made some suggestions, there's been pull requests and improvements over time. As we add more features, I think it needs to be rechecked. We do have in our playwright tests, we do have some accessibility checks, but I think there are still things that we're missing. I don't think it's checking for alt tags and so many other things Graham's going to point out. So Graham, I'm super excited to get started and a little bit nervous as well.
Yeah, well, as I said, like you mentioned, Emma is a contributor to the project, so I'm also nervous because Emma might have already caught all the stuff. So we'll see. We'll have a little play around with Linkfree and see what we can find, and I'll talk through the process that's going through my head as I go check things out, and then hopefully people can pick up a few things for their own projects and things to look out for. So if you want to make me bigger Eddie, I will
I
jump
will
straight
make
in.
you bigger, Graham, and then let's give some shout outs to the amazing people in the chat as well. So I think Dean was first, then Chai, Toby's here as well, and then Emma, Purvaja, hope I pronounced your name right. Awesome to have you here. Krish, you weren't first this time. And who else? Carl is here as well. Emma, who's Graham's neighbor, kind of, in the grand scheme of things. Sabrina, awesome to have you here. What else have we got? Sabrina says, this is so timely. Perfect. Chris, you do have a LinkFree profile, but you keep changing your username on GitHub and Twitter that I think you need to keep moving it. That's something I need to look at in the database as well, sort that out for everyone in general, not yours. OG says, go Graham. Awesome. So no pressure, Graham. Let's see what else have we got. Okay, lots of stuff happening in the chat. Absolutely love that. Abby's here as well. Absolutely love that. I love it that everyone's chatting with each other. Okay, Graham, over to you.
Super. Right, so let's start with the most basic check. You can do this on your own websites, your own web applications. It's really, really straightforward one. It's the tab test. And you'll be amazed how many sites fail this one. So all you do, put your mouse away, and all you're going to do is keep pressing tab on the page, and we are looking for focus indicators. So is there anywhere where I get lost as I go through the page? So far, we're looking good. This is promising. Not an accessibility error, but the fact that that's tiny compared to the spacing on those. Just saying, UI thing, Eddie.
Okay.
Do you want to make notes as we go of like things? Because I'm hoping we can raise some issues and get some people to fix them during this, even if they're minor things.
Yeah, that would be great. I think it's probably's got maybe margin is padding instead.
Exactly.
Probably. Yeah. So let me make some notes on this.
So the other thing I'm looking at while I'm tabbing around is subconsciously I'm looking for anything that looks low contrast, because I'm going to come back to it and check it out. I think I've been at this a while, so I reckon that's just going to pass, but it does look slightly low contrast, the dark blue and the light blue background. So we'll come back and check that. I'll show you a tool in a minute we can check that with. Let's have a look. Ooh, so this is promising. I think we're doing well here. We've got focus indicators. They're a little bit naff, but they still pass. I would just probably say put a little bit of padding around it or something.
On which one? Sorry, was that? I didn't see that.
GitHub Accelerator and GitHub Sponsors. The fact I'm tabbing between them now, and the focus indicator's just a tiny bit hard to see, but like I said, it's still got one. Hey, Eddie, we're doing well so far. We're doing well.
Okay, not as bad as I thought just yet. I know you're just getting warmed up though.
I am indeed. Now, something is focusable, but I don't know what. When I go from GitHub Sponsors, what am I on? So your help button in the bottom right-hand corner, your floating help button, has no focus indicator. So we found one, at least.
Okay.
So that just needs a focus indicator so I know I'm on it, because otherwise I get lost on the page very easily. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. So I would say that's a 9 out of 10. And believe me, that is better than so many sites. So we're on a good start.
That sounds good. I suppose I can't take full credit. Community should take massive credit for one, and two, I bought Tailwind components. So I literally just copied and pasted this into place.
Now that's interesting because now you've given me hints of things that might be broken because Tailwind components have loads of issues. So that's good to know.
Maybe not good to know.
No, it's handy. Right, so we're all good. Right, so tab test was good. Now, while I was going round the page and I'm tabbing round, and this is the beauty of doing this for a while, I'm looking at other things such as I see icons and no text. So immediately when you're doing an accessibility test, you're like, right, I want to inspect that and have a look what's going on. So I'll inspect that. Let's just switch to the console. And what I'm going to have a look for is, do we have ARIA labels on these so that, because they have no text. So I am looking for, we've got a button, we've got an SVG in it. Does it have, yes, it does have an ARIA label. And you know what, toggle themes crap as a label, but I don't think it will matter ironically in this one. So what it should actually say is the current state. So it should say we're in dark mode so that we know that when we click it, we switched into light mode. But because it's a visual element, technically we can get away with just saying it's toggle, because at the end of the day,
Okay.
if I'm someone who's blind and using a screen reader, I don't need to know what state that's in, technically. So like I said, it would be better if that updated to say dark mode, light mode as I toggle it, but still not bad. The next thing I was looking at was, this really intrigued me. We've got the version number, I'm guessing, because that has no context. Oh, it jumps me down the page. Interesting.
Oh, wait a second. It shouldn't jump me down the page. We're just seeing your elements, by the way. We're not seeing the web page.
Oh, sorry. I will do a lot of this, by the way. You'll have to keep on top of me and remember to switch back. So I was on this, and I was expecting it. It's jumped over to the roadmap page, has it?
Yeah, it's changed page, not gone down the page. Sorry, I thought you said it had gone down the page.
Yeah, it felt like
it
had
changed
scrolled down.
page.
So we've changed page.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we have this set up as a spa. Ah, okay. I thought it was actually like a multi-page, but it's a single-page application, is it?
No, it should be multi-page. The URL would have changed.
Yeah, but it's single page in the fact that it does AJAX requests rather than it actually does a page reload, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's probably more efficient.
The reason I know that is because I pressed enter there and I'm still focused on it. So what should happen when I say SPA, I'm meaning that you're doing AJAX request rather than actual full HTTP request for a full page.
Yes, that's true.
What should happen if you're doing that sort of way of setting the site up is you should jump to the heading level 1 on a page to let the user know that navigation has occurred. Because at the moment, I've pressed enter on that, and if I'm using a screen reader, nothing's happened as far as I'm concerned. I won't get any notification that the page is updated or anything like that. So I need some way of knowing that that's happened. And the simplest way is that we can give the roadmap a tab index of like -1 so that it is focusable but not in the focus order. And then you focus that once the page is loaded. Does that make sense?
Okay, got you. That makes sense. I think you froze, Graham, by the way.
Oh, here we go. Right, this is going to be fun because OBS has died on me, so give me a second.
Yeah, I don't use OBS so much anymore because I do find it crashes a lot, unfortunately. So I'm using StreamYard.
Yeah, it's a real pain. So as long as you can still hear me, that's all good. I will be back in a second.
We can still hear you.
When I've restarted OBS, I will be right back with you.
No worries, I'll catch up with the chat anyway. So I love it that everyone's chatting with each other. That's awesome. You know, I like it when you geek out. You get to see my beautiful face until Graham's ready. Oh no, you see Graham. How do I get me back? I don't know. Still not quite sure. Oh, Graham's back. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we might have to do that a few times. Like you said, I don't know what OBS is doing at the moment. It used to be very good, but it has crashed on me the other week as well. So we'll see.
Hopefully it keeps going. We'll be nice to it. And yeah, okay, I'll go back to you. So I'm just reading the chat and having a bit of a Google. Saw Dean's message.
No, it's all right. You're the professional live streamer over me. So if I just keep talking, you tell me to shut up. We'll go to the chat because I'll miss everything. I get focused. No,
keep going. So I have got so there's one issue someone can raise who would like this, which is the GitHub logo in the nav bar needs more padding and less margin. And then the other item, which was really important, was when you clicked on the version number at the top. What were you? Sorry, can you repeat what you're saying about the whole SPA thing? When you click on it should.
So on this version number here, when you click on it, and we'll probably find other instances of this as we're navigating around, because we're doing an AJAX load, we should have a tab index of -1 on the roadmap that I've highlighted here.
Okay.
So we should have a tab index of -1, and then when navigation's complete, it should focus that roadmap heading level 1.
Got you.
And that's the simplest way to let someone know who's using a screen reader that navigation has occurred.
Got you, I see. Okay, makes sense. I've made a note. Awesome.
Super.
Sabrina, go ahead. All yours. Thank you.
I love it. I want people fighting for raising these issues.
We've got loads of issues. We'll share it. I know Chris and Dean have loads of green squares already, but and they're always happy to share. Emma says she loves watching these accessibility reviews. Emma Dawson did a video on LinkFree reviewing it, and I was watching it. There's so many things to improve. I think lots of improvements came out of that. I'm sure we've missed some and created lots more bugs since then. So
This is the point. This is the beauty of accessibility. Is that if it's not the first thing on your mind when you're developing things, then you're going to create more things. So my job is never done. I come in, I help you fix everything, and then in 6 months we could do another live stream and we'll fix everything again.
Sounds good. And
my chats. There we go. Sorry, I'm going to have to keep adjusting that because it won't save when OBS crashes. So yes, we're probably going to see that on many pages. So I don't think that's going to be just a version problem. I have a feeling most of these will have the same issue when we're navigated. So we'll come back to that in a second. The next one, like I said, whenever I see an icon, I always check, have we got an Araya label? I'm guessing we will have because we were doing well on the other one.
We believe in you, Graham.
Now I'm trying to have belief in you. Accessibility tree. No, but somewhere we have got contents of GitHub, so it has got a label. There we go. We've got the Araya label. So this is interesting. The Araya label on this one is on the SVG itself. And the beauty is that will still work because it's content within the anchor.
Okay.
So let me just show you what I'm looking at because I keep forgetting to switch. So yeah, on here, we haven't got an Araya label on the actual anchor, but someone has added it onto the SVG itself so that we can actually go, okay, and that will then go up to the anchor. So the anchor does have a name. So we're doing well. This is good. We don't have any links without labels so far as well. Yes, I know, we're doing well. I don't like that we're doing well because I'm going to run out of things to look for, aren't I, Eddie?
I think you'll find it on the maybe the pages that have more stuff going on. You'll find some more.
Don't
worry, everyone. There's lots of green squares for you coming up. Great to see we've got Praduma here and also Trisha as well. Awesome. You're welcome, Sabrina.
I told you, I've got an aim of at least 10 issues out of this, Eddie, so I'm going to have to put
double figures.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to get double figures of issues.
Sounds good.
What I mentioned earlier was, sorry, I've got a bit of a funny mouse problem. That one thing that jumped out was just this button here. I feel like that contrast is low. So there is a free tool.
Okay, the button's behind me. Could you scroll up a little bit more?
Oh, sorry. Yes, this is there we go. Thanks. So this button here is the only one that jumped out at me. That blue and that other blue, they look really close together. So color contrast is important, mainly for some people are colorblind, so that can help, but more for as people get older or if they have a vision impairment, they get less light into their eyes. So contrast, they perceive contrast less. So we're investing in our own future here by making sure that we've got good color contrast.
Sounds good.
This tool is free tool for Windows. I don't think they have a Mac version, but there are other tools available. And I can just use a nice little handy color picker to go and see what colors we've got here. So see if I can get on the text. And then I'll check the background. And then it gives us our contrast ratios.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I told you, I said it'd be close. 4.5 to 1 is a pass. Because the minimum is 4.5 to 1. So whoever's done this has definitely gone for, right, let's make sure we pass. So someone's done that deliberately. Or it's a happy accident.
I think I did that and it was just a pure accident.
Well, you've picked just about. You've just perfect, like on the margin.
I think I might have again copied and pasted it from Tailwind, so I don't know. It could just be that. I'm a copy and paste developer.
Unfortunately, Eddie, it's not an issue. We're still doing well so far. Right, next thing I'm going to look at. So I have, you won't be able to see me click on it. So I have a plugin. It's called Headings Map. So it's the second thing I always look at on a page because we've done our tab test. I'm happy. I've seen a couple of buttons that I saw. Next thing I want to do is check the heading structure on a page. This is important for people who are using a screen reader because one of the shortcuts they'll use is they'll jump between heading levels to get a feel for the layout of a page because they can't see it. They're like, right, what's on this page? They'll jump around the headings. So I'm going to activate this headings map. And you should see it's a little smaller. I can't make it any larger, unfortunately. So sorry if people are struggling to see that.
Okay, interesting.
What it will do is flag up if anything's out of order. So your headings should always go in should always go in descending order. So the first thing it's picked up is the reason it's flagging a heading level 2 here is your actual homepage doesn't have a heading level 1. So that Should be a heading level 1, but
Ah.
apparently it says it isn't. So let's have a little look in the inspector.
So there's another issue for someone to raise. Who needs a green square? On the LinkFree repo, link in the description below, as well as Graham's LinkFree profile. Can someone write in the chat while Graham has frozen again? Can someone write in the chat? Sorry, write in the chat. Can someone, write in the chat if you want this issue. We need a H1, so we need a heading 1, maybe on more pages, but just say for the home page, and then maybe in the issue, ask the question, check other pages, question mark, and see. So, let's see. Mac has built-in tool that comes with pre-installed. Eddie, give it a search. Digital color meter in apps. Awesome. Amazing. I didn't know that. That sounds great.
I didn't know that either. Thanks, Pradumna.
Emma Wayne says she's going to take notes and watch it back. Thanks, Emma. That will help my stats. So that's cool. Chris, you've got enough issues. Chris, you've probably got like 100 green squares for today already. He's got more than me. Chris got it. Yeah, he did right first. Okay. Everyone else, let us know in the chat if you need some green squares, and we'll share them out afterwards as well. Graham is going to find more. Don't worry.
Oh, no pressure or anything. Oh, are you kidding me? Right, OBS.
You're frozen again. Okay.
OBS is dying a death. What is going on with OBS? I will keep killing it and bringing it back. Don't worry. If all else fails, we'll try the screen share. It'll just be a nightmare because of the fact that my screen's massive. So we'll work it out. If it dies one more time, I'll come back with just the camera. That's fine. I will chat with the chat. We've got Gorav has just joined and Shub. Hope I pronounced it right. Today we are looking, Graham is going to find accessibility improvements that we need to do with the LinkFree project. And then all of you can raise issues and hopefully raise some pull requests as well. So that would be awesome. Super. Right. While I'm back, you know, we'll just keep going until it suddenly dies again. So let's have a look. I love that. Yes. Sabrina's just put the title in the chat. That's amazing. So Sabrina is not going to raise the issue, but has added value to the chat so someone else can have the title. I love that. Amazing. Sorry, Graham, over to you. No, that's awesome. So yes, we've got the H1 that we need. So we'll check that on other pages, but we need the H1 here. And secondly, down at the bottom, and this is something people do often, it looks like, I'm guessing, this was some sort of templated layout or something. And you've got a heading level 6 for the GitHub Accelerator program. And it's, ironically, then it's tried to nest it as part of testimonials, which it isn't. It's a completely separate thing. So it should be a heading level 2 if you want it to be a heading at all. Probably not, actually, but there's another issue someone can raise. Great to see more people joining. Hey, Satyam and Zaid. So there's another issue that needs raising, which is the GitHub Accelerator program shouldn't be a heading, really. It should just be normal text. So good to know. Exactly. Right, but other than that, the headings look good. So yet again, we're doing all right, because I've noticed that there are many different sizes of text, but someone has actually just changed the text size rather than using headings as a styling issue, because that's what most people do wrong. That's why headings tend to get messed up. People go, oh, I need it to be large here. I'll use a heading level 1. Oh, use your CSS to do it. The heading levels are important for the content of the page, and then you can use styling to make them look however the hell you want, so that you can keep the design that you're after. Got you. But like I said, Eddie, we're doing well. We're doing well. Right. You've done one page. Wait, there's more pages. Oh, don't worry, yes. I know one page that I'm interested in that I've not looked at, but the maps page, I have a feeling that's going to be fun, so we'll get to that. Next, though, could we do, when you finish this page, I think the profile page, because it's such an important page, that I think should be really, really, like, performant, accessible, like, that's such an important page. We will jump on that one next, then. I've only got one more test I want to do on this page anyway, which is your alt descriptions. It's the one that everybody forgets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this instead, because every time I change scene, it seems to break my OBS. So hopefully you'll be able to see everything this way. Okay. So I am looking for alt text, and we have got one. LinkFree screenshot of the bio and social links and example profile. So Does that describe the image well?
Well, you're going to check it. Dean just said he was expecting Graham to be a bit more mean. I think the mean side is about to come out because I
Don't
thought he
worry.
was just going to check, is there an alt text? I didn't was actually going to read it and check it matches the
Yes,
image.
so there's a reason for that, and that is that alt text, a lot of people use it for SEO, and a lot of the time they're trying their best, so they'll either put way too much detail in it, or they'll just say picture of Eddie. Like there's always something in between. So I'm going to give a great tip here on how to do good alt text. So I'll bring this back up onto the screen. Link-free screenshot of the bio and social links and example profile. It's not bad. But if I was describing this to someone across the phone, and this is the trick, would that be what I'd say? So if I was talking about this page to you, Eddie, and you couldn't see it, and I was describing it across the phone, I'd be like, right, so we've got your social links, that's etc. And then I'd be like, right, there's a picture of a link-free profile on there. It shows a few tags, open source JavaScript, TypeScript, and a picture of Eddie. Like, that would be the sort of description I'd give. If you do the imagine I'm explaining it in context to someone over the phone, your alt text will be brilliant. The only thing that I would say, because this is pretty good alt text, is link-free screenshot is completely unnecessary.
Right.
I know I'm on the link-free page. I imagine, let's inspect another one. I imagine we're going to see a recurring theme of
I'm a
this.
bit worried because Emma just said she checked it a few weeks ago and found they were all copied and pasted. So I'm a bit nervous. That might have been me.
Okay, let's have a look. So we're going to check this one next. Link-free screenshots of the tags in the example profile.
I just changed the word tag. I think I copied and pasted everything and just changed it to one word.
Which is, you know what, it's better than most alt tags. It's not bad, but link-free screenshot is not necessary. You can just explain what is in it. You don't need to tell people it's a screenshot unless there's a particular reason. Like, if it was code, and I'd cry if it was, you'd say screenshot of code. But a lot of time, you don't need to say that. I know it's an image. I know that it's not going to be an actual thing. So you can get rid of that. And I know I'm on the link-free page, so no need to say link-free. But not bad.
Makes sense.
Not bad. I'm not going to check all the alt tags. That's something that someone could go and have a do and just do what I said. Basically get into the mindset of, if I was describing this over the phone, have I given enough detail in context for somebody to understand what the image was about? And that's your goal, basically.
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Let's do the fun bit. So you want me to go on to somebody's profile. So yours should be pretty...
You could do yours, and mine's more, I think, full.
Yeah, let's do yours, because yours will be full. Super. Right.
I'm stressed. I'm sweating.
First things first, I am checking the alt tag on the image.
I looked at that recently. I know what that's going to say.
Profile picture of Eddie Jawood. Well, you know what? It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Next thing is, do we have the array labels on these? We've done this before, but we still need to check it.
I don't know.
Yes, we do. We have an array label on Twitter right there. So I will assume that the rest of them are good. Don't worry. So we're doing all right. There is one thing I'll say here, though, and this is nothing to do with accessibility. This is my using the application, and it might be fixed when you go to forms. I was trying to work out how to set all the icons using Font Awesome, and that was a usability nightmare, and I got it wrong on my profile. So that's something perhaps from a user perspective, it'd be great to try and fix that. Because when I was trying to set the JSON up, I was trying to guess, is it FA linked in with a capitalization, no capitalization, and everything like that. So
we have a docs page for links. You can search for your icons and everything.
We'll get to your docs, Eddie. We'll get to your docs, don't worry.
I've got pretty good docs, I think. I might be biased, but you
know. Because we're on a new page, I'm going to do the tab test again. And there's one thing I forgot to mention earlier that we don't have. So when I tab into the page, you'll notice that on a lot of sites, there'll be something pops up if you tab around a page. It'll say skip to main content. That's so that as a keyboard user, I'm not having to tab past all of this stuff every time I want to go to a new page. So the skip to content link would pop up here, and if needs be, I'll find a site that we can showcase this on. And if I skip it, it would jump straight to Eddie Jawood. It would skip straight to your name, ready to then go down the rest of the page. And it means I don't have to tab past all of this. So that's another issue that'd be great to be raised by somebody. Skip links. and if I'll find some information on that if someone needs more info.
Makes sense.
And one thing I didn't test, because I said we were going to check about this navigation. So if I press search, yes, so same issue that I raised earlier. As I navigate around pages, if I click on one of the pages, it should jump to the heading level 1, which I'm hoping this is. And it is. I'm not going to show the console. That is a heading level 1 on this page at least.
We trust you. We trust you.
And so I wanted to check that it would actually jump there. It doesn't. So that's what it should
I wonder how we make that jump. That's something I'd have to research. I actually don't know how to do that.
So like I said, the jump is, the simplest way of explaining it is that you put tab index -1 on the search so that a non-focusable item can be focused with JavaScript. Okay. And then when the navigation is complete, so the final thing after navigation's occurred, you would do a search, whatever, you give it an ID, or, you know, look for the heading level 1 or something, .focus. And that's literally all you need to do. And it would then focus that search item, and then you're ready to go on the rest of the page.
Got you.
So I'm going to do a tab test here because I kind of have a sneaky suspicion. Yes. So I don't know why. I think it's because you said that you mentioned that you were using a lot of Tailwind components. I saw these here. And I have a feeling, and I've kind of proved it, but let's prove it here. These have broken the cardinal rule. They're made of divs. They're not buttons. Oh, it's my pet peeve.
For which one? Sorry, for the...
So this is for these here, for each of your tags.
Okay.
So these, for a keyboard user, I cannot access them. So if I'm in here, I jump up to log in. I cannot get to those or use them. Now, luckily, because I noticed this the other day, and I like whoever did this, if I put open source, it does highlight that particular tag, which is really cool. So technically, I can still do everything, but it's kind of annoying I can't focus on the tags. So they need changing to buttons. So for whoever's raising issues for us, could you raise an issue that the tags on the search page are not buttons? They are.
Well, just do tags. Yeah, don't say, or you can say search page, but definitely say tags should be buttons, because it's a component that we use everywhere, even on the profile page. So we can just change that in one place and it should fix it everywhere. So absolutely. So tags should be buttons. Perfect. Amazing. So someone can raise that issue. That would be awesome. And shout out to Marino. Well done with Cube Huddle conference.
Yeah, the FOMO was just ridiculous. I was so upset that I wasn't there.
Yeah, me too.
Right, you want to check
and then
this?
Zaid is asking about the color contrast issue on the tags.
Color contrast issue?
Because of the orange, I think.
Now, you see, okay, we can check it. I don't think it will be, though. So are you saying if I've got it, this orange and black here, I can almost certainly tell you that's absolutely fine. I don't need to check it, but...
Yeah, it was white before, but I think the accessibility test on Playwright failed because it needed to be black. And Emma raises a good point. Check that there should be buttons on every page. You're right. Sometimes they're just information, but most of the time I think they are buttons. We can have a switch in the component or something. Krish, you raised 4 issues already. Leave some from other people, but thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Graham. Sorry.
So we've checked the contrast there. It's plenty high enough, 5.9 to 1. Like you said, white on orange is like a massive, massive issue on color contrast. It is all going to change soon on the sort of rules, because sometimes it's fine, but it says it isn't. But because you've got black on orange, it should be absolutely fine there.
Can you bring that back up, that palette back up? I've got a bug with that palette. White on orange is not good. Yeah, in their example at the top, it's white and orange.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Just because it's a color contrast analyzer doesn't mean it has to comply with its own rules. Stupid, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started on how many accessibility related things are not accessible. But, you know, that's a whole other set of worms we won't open today. Now then, ironically, sorry, who was it who said gave us the nice suggestion here? This probably won't be. So
I think it was Zaid. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh, for some reason, that's just killed my color contrast analyzer.
And you haven't frozen for a few minutes, which is good.
No, but instead, my color contrast analyzer broke instead. So I'm going to do this the hard way and restart it all. I'm not doing very well. My computer is not liking this. Right, let's
No
try
problem
again.
at all. I will can catch up with the chat. So Ali from South Africa. No, so go on.
Don't worry, we're fine. I'm just trying to click on this white bit. It is white, that isn't it? Yes, right. I can do it
It
the
is,
easy way.
yeah.
I can do it the easy way. So let's just go to hex here. There we go. And then this one, we can get the orange and check what colour that is. Yeah, so unfortunately, this is a fail.
Right, so there's another issue there.
So yes, there is. Well spotted.
Yeah, very well spotted.
That was in the chat. That was a great spot.
So tags, when selected on search page, should. So what will be? What color will they be?
So there's two options. One, you could make the text turn to black when they're selected, because it's similar to the tag bit up here. That would work fine. The other option is to choose a different color.
Okay.
So
I think for now we'll do it as black because we're going to have a site redesign. So I think it's all gonna change in a couple of months anyway. So we'll do a simple option for now and put the text to black, I think.
Yeah, super. So they're fine when they're not selected. Obviously, if someone just makes the text black, it's not going to work on a dark background because then you're going to have no contrast. Only when a tag is selected does it matter.
Okay. So who's raising that issue? So hopefully someone will raise the issue. I've made a note as well, but hopefully someone will raise that also.
I'll have it after the stream, Eddie. I'll have a check through the issues and see if there's anything been missed and try and raise them over the next couple of days anyway.
No worries. If anything's been missed, that'd be awesome. Yeah, this has been raised. Perfect.
Also,
Zaid,
I kind of like that, by the way. We've got JavaScript twice there because of the spellings. I like it. It's nothing to do with accessibility, but
that was a community improvement. Zaid, I think you just got beaten to it, so we'll find you something else in a minute. Don't worry. But thank you so much for making us aware. And Sabrina, I am loving this. This is awesome. Just so much value in that. I love it.
Right. Here we go, Eddie. So let's have a look. So your tags are accessible on this page by the looks of it, ironically.
Should be the same code, though. That's a bit strange. No,
you see, these are anchors on this page.
Oh, we've been inconsistent.
Difference. So these have anchors wrapped around them, so it would open up the search.
But the other page, they are clickable as well. But I guess they've been done with JavaScript rather than.
They've been done with a JavaScript click handler rather than using an actual button.
Okay.
Which the beauty of a button is it does all the hard work for you. Like you've done a lot of hard work by making it a div. If you use a button, all the handlers are there ready for you. It makes life easy.
Yes.
So let's have a look. Open source DevRel, founder of EddieHub. Is this a heading level 1? It is. Bit unusual saying Eddie Jow though as a heading, but that's fine.
It's strong.
Yeah. I am Eddie Jow. So this is good. Look, these are actually buttons by the looks of it, which is great.
Okay, cool.
And I can press enter and I can navigate, so that is really promising. So let's have a look at my links. We've got focus indicators. I'm happy. Not looking bad. Now then, what we're going to look at now is the HTML, because we've got these subsections here, and I'm intrigued how we've got this set up. So I'm not quite sure if I can sort of half and half this in some way and kind of show you what I'm looking at the same time. So we've got heading level 3 for each of these subsections. Have we got a heading level? It might be. We can press our magic heading levels button thing. Oh dear. We've jumped to heading level. Not a disaster, but would be great if they were heading level 2s instead. Would make much more sense as well in the context, because then they'd be sort of like, the next heading down, same as the footer. Okay,
makes sense. This is on the profile page. Not every profile has this, but the ones that do, so it's the group. The group title should be a H2, not H3. So hopefully, Zaid, that's for you, because I know you wanted the previous one, but I will share that in the chat, I think. But Sabrina is probably going to beat me to it, but here's the issue to raise. There we go.
And while someone's at it, they should check the other pages for skipped heading levels. So let me just get the name of this tool, and then someone could use it.
Oh yes, Zaid's asking what the name of the tool is. It's a very good tool, actually.
So I will share this in the chat.
Awesome, yes please. Hopefully you should be able to share it. It might not come through, YouTube might remove it.
Oh, okay. Let me know if YouTube removes it. In which case,
I
I'll
think
send it in the private chat to you as well,
Yeah.
Eddie, so you
Please
share it
do,
that
and I will share it. Yeah, I think it has removed it.
Super. Right, so like I said, I'm pretty happy, Eddie. You know what? It's holding up to scrutiny quite well. I don't think anyone would actually get to a point where they cannot use the site, which is what happens a lot with accessibility issues. But so far, nothing has made me go, that's unusable. So far, you're getting a thumbs up from me.
If we get time, awesome, great to hear. And if we get time, I know Emma was saying that, where is it? I'm just calling up the chat. Emma Dawson was saying that on her website, Accessibility Web Dev, she has the skip link. And I know if they focus on accessibility, so I know it's going to be awesome. So we could do a demo if we get time later. Oh, no, you're going to it already. Okay, cool, let's do it.
Oh, I can't spell apparently. Just help.
Avi, good night. Thanks for joining. I know it's late for me in Thailand, so it's really, really late for you in Japan.
I was going to say, hi and bye, Avi. I didn't even know you were here. My apologies. But yes, get yourself to bed. You need to get better soon.
Oh, Australia as well. Dean must be late for you as well, but Dean doesn't sleep. I think Dean's like a robot or Terminator or something.
Yeah.
I was watching Terminator recently, and they're like, "You never sleep," so that's why I was we think of Terminator. But Terminator's usually bad. The good Terminator. I'll shut up now. Anyway.
Yeah, you're the Terminator from Terminator 4. You're like Pops. Yeah.
Yeah, Pops. That's the one I watched.
Right, so skip links. Let me show you what I was talking about.
Okay,
when I tab into this page, you'll notice this pop up at the top. It's not very large.
Okay.
Let me just try and give it a little highlight to show what I'm talking about here. So this appears. If I then... it's so slow. So if I tab into the page, you'll see at the top here, this skip to main content appears. If I click on it, it's jumped straight to the actual content of the page and past this massive long navigation.
Right, I see. Okay.
So it's really handy for if I'm a keyboard user. Otherwise, if I wanted to get to the content of the page, I've got to go tab, 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 tab. Not a problem too much at the moment on LinkFree, but imagine as the project grows, it's great to get it in early because then you can get rid of that issue entirely. So that's the whole point of a skip link. It means that me as a keyboard user can just do that, and I'm straight into the content. And I can get straight to it all. And now I need to now I have to admit that I've never been on Emma's website, and I need to go and have a look around it because it looks very cool. So sorry, Emma. Right, where were we at? So we were having a look through all of this. So, like I said, I'm pretty happy with this. This looks all good. One thing I did notice very quickly there, we've got like a focus indicator, like a hover indicator, not your focus indicator, your hover indicators. They seem to be color-coded to whatever the icon is.
Yeah,
which feels very fancy, but that makes it a nightmare for the fact that when I'm hovered over that, the only indication is my cursor. It'd be nice to know that I'm hovered over this by, say, the background color changing tint slightly or something like that. The actual dark grey blue color. Be nice if that like changed a couple of shades slightly so that it was like obvious that I'm hovered over something that's clickable. It's not a big, massive accessibility issue, just a minor point.
It's nice. It's good user experience.
Yeah, because like this one, I can tell I'm hovered over it instantly because you get this nice, big, strong white border. But because the color-coded, that one's almost invisible. I can hardly see the difference when I'm hovering and not hovering.
Got you. So I think we need an issue for that one as well. That would be good. So profile page, hover, links, change button, or link, change link background. Link background. So who would like another issue? And Krish, what is the name of your space that you got coming up in 15 minutes? I will try and join for a little bit afterwards before I go to bed. I don't think, Chrissy, if you've raised an issue, someone else can't edit it, by the way, because you'll be the author. This is the other one we need, so issue. Here we go.
Awesome. Same issue on this page. I think it's going to be a recurring theme. The ad testimonial for Eddie doesn't have a focus indicator. So I think these floating things, again, I assume they're a component. Sorry,
Yeah.
you can't see it. Let me just... Oh, does that work? Does that not work? Yeah, it does work. So if I scroll down, right down, I'll move this out of the way because that's in the way. This here, this floating button.
Got you.
It doesn't have a focus indicator on any of the pages. So you've got one on the home page, one here. So someone needs to fix all of them.
Yeah, they'll probably be using the same component again. So you're right. So we need to fix that. So that will be the bottom right hover button needs was it a focus indicator?
Yeah, focus indicator.
Okay. Remember, share the. I got two. Thanks, Sabrina. I'm going to try and beat you on this one as well. Here's another issue for someone who hasn't raised it. Please do share the issues, everyone. Cool. Okay. Zaid has another one. So before we move on, on hovering the links on the nav bar, it leaves an underline. I don't think I've ever seen that. I saw there's an issue raised for that. Oh, Graham got it. I can't replicate that. If you refresh the page, they disappear, I think, and then as you hover them, they stay, is what I think the issue said. But I've never managed to replicate it. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
It is an unusual one. I don't even have a clue.
Very strange.
It's the second I click on something outside of it, they disappear as well, so it's even more strange.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, it's not a major issue, but it's something we could look into. There is an issue for it already.
Also, it doesn't
sometimes it
really,
does it, sometimes it doesn't. Okay.
Doesn't really. It isn't really an accessibility issue in of itself. But one thing that it does bring up is, I'm just going to jump off your profile a section. Now you see we've got indicators to know what page we're on. The only thing that's unusual is when I'm on a profile, I don't know where it. Obviously, there's nothing up here that tells me what's going on.
Yeah.
It's actually fine. It's not actually an issue, but just a bit of an unusual one. Because there's nothing here to say what sort of where I am in navigation, because this is a separate page. So it might be something to think about in the future about how you could perhaps show what page you're on.
Have would we show what page you're on though? Because in the nav bar you're saying it will show the person's name or something.
Yeah, you could do. You could have one thing that would be a great way to do it is you could have breadcrumbs. So they don't get used very often on sites nowadays, but we used to have true. Home and then like an arrow and then profile name.
Yeah,
it's kind of a nice way to know where you are in a site. Yet again, as this gets more complicated, you might end up nesting things more and more. So it might be nice to put breadcrumbs in early. Just gives me an idea of where I'm at then. Not like I said, that's not an accessibility issue as such. It was just like something I was like, it's a bit unusual, a bit strange. So this text here bothers me. It looks very low contrast. Do I dare try and use my magic tool again, or will it break on me?
Let's have a look. I think it is very low, very. There isn't a big contrast.
So just to let people know, right? So I'm going to get rid of that a second. What I would normally do on this is I would inspect it, and if this was an actual colour, so if this was like 333, you get this square here in DevTools next to an actual colour, like if it's a hash or an HSL or anything. And if you click on it, it actually tells you your contrast ratios here, built into the tool.
Oh, it's behind my face, I think.
Always behind your face, Eddie. Give me a second. Let's try and get it so that people can see what I'm on about. So yes, so on the colours here, you'll see there's
Okay.
like a square next to it that pops up
Yeah.
if you use hashes or HSL or anything like that. If you click on it, there is built into Chrome DevTools a contrast ratio checker.
Oh, it's behind your writing, behind your
There we go.
what do you call it? Closed captions.
Let's move that up a bit.
A bit more, a bit more.
I can't move it up anymore. I can't. I'll have to
Okay.
zoom it out a bit. Here we go. Right, try this one more time. So it's going to be a bit smaller on screen. Sorry. Right. So here, built into it. So there's this square here, and if you click on it, you get this all pop up.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
down
that. I'm gonna go
here-
test it right now. I don't believe you.
Now the problem is it doesn't work a lot with Tailwind-based sites because they, for some unknown reason to the world, decide that opacity is the way to change the color of text instead of like changing the colors. So it's a nightmare. So that's why I'm using the color checking tool. But on most sites that are built properly, I'm not digging too hard at Tailwind, am I? That are built doing it the right way, where you use actual colors, you can check it this way. And the beauty is, up in the color picker at the top, I can now drag this up to a point where it's above that line. And that means I've got enough contrast now. See how we've got the tip?
Wow,
And it can give
so
me
cool.
a color that works. And if I want to go for the really, because there's two levels of contrast that you need to look at. There's like pass, which is AA, and then there's like going above and beyond, extended contrast. So I could bring it right up here, and that would give me the 7:1, which is like the you've gone above and beyond. That's where we want you to be, sort of thing.
Yeah, got you. Okay, interesting, nice. I love those lines as well, so you can see it.
Exactly.
And our colors are mostly configured in Tailwind configs. We should really change that globally as well, I think.
If you change it to anything other than the way that Tailwind does it by default, which is they use opacity, and unfortunately, once you do opacity, if I reload the page and show you, like they use the var text opacity, so we don't get the magic square. And I've been waiting for someone to tell me how to get the magic square. I don't know if there is a way, but I can't get it. I've even thought you could go into Computed and work it out from there, but it doesn't work either. So yeah, so if we change it to just an actual color, then you get the magic box, and then you can play around with your colors in here and inspect stuff. It's amazing.
Got some more issues coming in the chat as well, which I really like. Back button in the docs, or a breadcrumb. I think in the issue mentioned breadcrumb, as Graham suggested. I think it'd be quite good to use that. And then also
breadcrumbs are awesome. I don't know why we stopped putting them on sites. I think it was a design thing, because they basically give you a back button for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And they give you like several back buttons. If you've got a very deeply nested site, you can jump back to where you were. It makes life so much easier.
I think for docs definitely makes sense. And then also, where was another suggestion? Zaid says they don't understand the significance of the colors in milestones. To be honest, that was just a bit of customization. But I think you're right. I think we remove that. I don't think it makes sense. I think maybe raise an issue and say remove colors from milestones. Let's just make it simpler. I don't think we need a color for milestones. What do you think, Graham?
I mean, it's not an accessibility thing, but putting my head on of whether I think it looks good, I think it looks awful, to be honest with you.
Yeah, consistency is so much better, I think.
Yeah, the red and the green, it just feels very strange. I think, go simple with it. Make it all the same colour as your nice little grey divider line.
Nice.
I've managed finally to grab that colour, and it's too low contrast.
Oh, it is? Okay.
So we're on the milestones tab. And so this text, I imagine, is the same text as the May 2010. It's too low contrast, so that needs improving and putting up a bit. And guess
Graham, you
OBS has died. Yeah, don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on it nowadays. Like the second OBS dies, I'm like, right.
And then we've got a small test for you from Emma Dawson when you come back. Very easy test, but it's quite funny.
Tell me the test while I'm restarting, because it really only takes 10 seconds.
Okay, well, actually, it will only take me a second to explain it, and I want to see what OBS does with your captions. That's the test. You need to say a word, basically, and let's...
This could be interesting, because the captions
Can you say the
OBS.
word... Oh, okay. Could you say the word opacity?
Opacity.
Oh, it was
Looks good to me.
Yeah, last time I think it came out, Emma was saying is pasty.
No. This is the one you actually want to do. Eddie is a
No.
DevRel.
Oh, a death rail. Doesn't sound very good.
It gets worse. Eddie is a DevRel. Oh no, you DevRel twice. Normally, it decides to call you a devil, so it doesn't like DevRel at all. It doesn't know the word. Although, and then it says it there, ironically.
It does. It's learning. It's AI and machine learning.
But no, these aren't OBS captions. These are through.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's a tip for people who are live streaming, and the host doesn't have captions built into their stream because they don't care about accessibility. Sorry, Eddie. I had to have a poke. I'm joking.
The StreamYard supports it. I pay for StreamYard $50 a month. StreamYard, if you're watching, add closed captions.
So there's a trick. I've basically cheated here. So what I have open on my screen is a site called webcaptioner.com. Let me put it into the chat. If I don't do it as a link and I put a space in it, it'll go through, I think. Okay. So let me know if that shows up in the chat. If not, can you share that one? And it's a free site, although I do like to send them a donation every once in a while, that does closed captioning. Nice. And then I just capture part of my screen with OBS and I just overlay it on my site. And it means I've got captions, albeit not the best ones in the world, but better than nothing.
Got you.
So anyway, that was a bit of a tangent of a way that you can get captions onto your live streams or anything else with free tools.
Sounds good.
Super. Right. So where were we? Right. So we've got someone's raised the issue for this color contrast issue on this page, I think, have they?
I think so. As well.
How many are we up to? We must be up to 6 or 7 by now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm about to raise 9 on milestones. Subtext and date. Need more color contrast. There we go. Sabrina says we don't see a link. Could you share that in private chat to me and I'll drop it in the chat?
Yeah.
YouTube has noticed your trick about the space.
Yeah, it's too smart for me. I knew it would be. There we go. I've sent it in private chat.
Perfect.
And sorry, everyone. I'm normally better at watching the chat, but I once I get into accessibility mode, I start to go hyper-focused and I completely forget that there are other people here other than me and Eddie.
No worries. Get in the zone. Emma Dawson has just shared the tool and the link as well, so that's awesome.
Thank you, Emma. Right. So far we're looking good on this page, by the way, Eddie. These are minor points.
Okay, sounds good. Chris.
Right. I'm not even going to check it. Same issue here. Like I don't even need to run a contrast analyzer to know that is way too low contrast. So on the testimonials page, we've also got a horrendous contrast issue there.
Okay. Well, that's another issue. Let me write that down. And while I'm doing that, Chrissy has a question. I think the numbers on the headings are too small. I don't know if that's an accessibility issue or personal preference.
Numbers on the headings.
Testimonials. Let me write this down. Well, testimonials.
Which headings? Sorry, which sections?
I'm guessing the my links, milestones. I'm guessing the numbers in milestones like 9.
They're big enough because they're the same size as the font, and the font is 100% 16 pixels. I can almost guarantee that without checking it, but let's have a double check. Hang on. So font size. Oh, Chrissy. She's there's no way you spotted that by eye, but well done, Chrissy. So yes, the font size itself is too small anyway. So it's calculated at 14 pixels. So what someone's done is they've changed the font size to text small, which is 0.875 rem. And that means it is actually smaller than what your bare minimum should be, which is 16 pixels.
Interesting. Okay. So profile tabs.
I tell you what, Chrissy, if you managed to just spot that without actually inspecting, then well done, because I couldn't see that, and that's insane. In which case, I'm guessing this will have the same problem. Yes, this does as well. So the font size is too small on pretty much everything here.
Interesting. Okay. Some milestones. Okay.
So I'm
So that's
intrigued.
another one.
If I up the font size to 1, does it break anything? Is someone does this because they don't like it? No.
Again, that was copied from Tailwind.
Oh, well, I told you, don't assume Tailwind to get things right. They're awful. I'm a Tailwind hater, Eddie. Sorry, sorry for all the people who are there who love Tailwind.
I paid like $500 for that.
I hope you didn't.
I did, something like that.
Eddie, I'll write you a theme for less than that. Don't worry, I'll write you an accessible theme.
As long as I can copy and paste it.
So yeah, I don't know if you can see the difference, but I've upped the font size to 16 pixel minimum, and yeah, okay. It still looks absolutely fine to me. But that does... Oh, interesting. Eddie's goals. For some reason, your future goals is all dark grey.
Yeah, it's faded because it's a future goal. So I thought that was a design implementation by me, my great idea. I am no designer, so it probably looks terrible. But I thought there's a future goal. It's faded slightly. Maybe I should just have not fade it and have a line or something, or ... and then like, I don't know.
By all means, okay. Fade it wasn't a bad idea. The problem is you now need to lift this section here to an even higher brightness because this is really terrible contrast.
Okay. Right, this is so many issues. Like, we started off well. We're going downhill now.
Yeah, but they're all minor things. The color contrast things, which are nice and easy to fix. You literally swap a color out. Like, none of these have been like, oh, you need to redesign something. But I have a feeling that it's just reminding me of something because I was like, why someone made the text smaller than it needed to be? And I know why it might be. I imagine if we look at this on a mobile view... Oh, 1 second. If we look at
While you're doing that, let me just address the chat. So Chrissy says about a link section. Chrissy, remind us in a minute. We'll go back to that. Sabrina, you missed the last issue. I've written quite a few down. I don't know what the last issue was, actually. So I'm not sure. The milestone page has got quite a few of the ones I wrote down. And the title along the tabs on the profile page need to be slightly bigger. Oh, Emma's with Graham, plain CSS. Oh, no. Tailwind for me is just copy and paste.
So I suppose the problem is I like Tailwind for the fact that it makes CSS a lot more accessible for a lot of people. And I don't mean accessibility from accessible, just easier to use. The reason I hate it is probably because I've learned how the cascade works in CSS, and I'm a big fan of CSS variables. And with those two, you could do all the things that Tailwind does without cluttering up your HTML, and you can actually make your site consistent so that you're not having to then remember what 20 things you added on one thing to make it the same on another page. Like it's great for prototyping. I understand why companies use it in production, but I feel like if people understood CSS, we wouldn't have this issue. But let's not do it. Let's have another stream on that.
Yeah, true. And then I suppose that could be a good Twitter space. But also with other tools like React or component libraries and frameworks, it makes that problem a bit less of a problem. So maybe it's like masking or hiding the issue of what we just said as well.
Yeah. But that's it. It's like a mask. It feels better as a developer, but then when you actually get into it in the real world, you end up making more inconsistencies in your site than actually if you just like did CSS properly, sort of thing. Like I said, we're not on that today, Eddie. Don't get me started. We've already done an hour, and I know you said you were thinking you wanted to end around now. We'll get one more issue into the bank you know what? I'm going to put money on this. I'm going to put money on it. I think we're going to have an issue with your mobile navigation. I
don't think so. There's a few contributions to that, so I'm hoping.
Okay, five great British pounds since we're both from the UK. I'll bet you $5 that I can find an issue with your mobile navigation.
Which is about $7 if anyone US dollars if anyone's asking.
It's not a lot.
Well, Graham, I was going to say, I don't know if Emma Wayne is still here. I am probably up at your neck of the woods in August, so. You can buy me a beer, or I can buy you a beer, depending on the results of this. Okay.
Deal. Virtual handshake, then. Virtual handshake.
Yes.
Right. So the reason I feel like I can do this is that every single mobile menu I've ever seen has accessibility issues with it. So I'm pretty confident here. It's
Well,
not
but
fair.
wait. Before you check, we need to we need to group the issues because I'm sure you could always find some accessibility issue. Like if it's anything major, like you know how you were saying before on the homepage, there were some minor issues. Like I think not finding, you're gonna find something. I think everywhere, anyway, you'll always find something. But anything major, how about that?
Do you know what I've learned today, everyone? It's that Eddie doesn't like making bets unless he thinks he's going to win them. I like it. Yeah,
But
fine.
of course,
I will find an accessibility issue that I consider to be major.
okay.
Because if I consider it to
Sounds
be
good.
major, I get to play the rules anyway, Eddie.
We'll
I can just say,
use Emma Dawson can categorize it.
Emma,
You find
right?
it,
Emma
Dawson
is now going to be yes, Emma Dawson. You are going to be the judge on whether I find an accessibility issue that is major. So first things first, because I'm so confident. I'm going to do a tab test while I'm in mobile view. So
Oh no,
are you ready?
That.
Right. So 1 tab, 2 tabs. The next thing that should focus. I know it. I know. I'm so
Oh my
confident. Next tab. I've gone. I've disappeared. I don't know where I am.
You're inside the
Because I'm
navigation.
in the menu that should be hidden. There you go. I've come back out.
Well,
of
hit
it now.
spacebar. Let it open. No.
There you go. That's me. That's me navigating because I'm inside the navigation. So let's go into the navigation anyway. But there you go. That is a major.
I don't think that's a major one. You can just guess.
Pretty major. But let's open the menu anyway. Looks good. Let's just have a look. Oh, another major accessibility issue. You shouldn't be able to tab outside of a menu like that. It should trap focus within it. And although you won't be using tab on a phone, you do have a similar mechanism to be able to go around a page. Okay. So you shouldn't be able to tab out of a menu that's open. It should circle back to your close button.
Emma Dawson says it's major. Okay. If Emma Dawson says it's major, I don't trust Graham. He really wants a beer. Okay, maybe it is a major thing.
Eddie, I'm just going to make you cry now because you've thrown down the gauntlet, right? So the next one is your close button.
I thought you were just trying to find one. Don't find multiple issues.
No, we're going to find all of them now. You started it. So let's have a look. Button. Oh, look. So your button here, let me just bring this up alongside. So your button here, if I inspect it, so we've got the SVG, we've got array controls, array expanded, it's all good. We've got screen reader only text. We're doing well, except for the fact that it says open main menu, and the menu is open.
That's not major.
It's absolutely massive. It's a toggle button, so it has to toggle. Now, it didn't matter so much on the other things, but it has to toggle here because otherwise, if I tab back to it, it's going to say open main menu, and I'm going to be like, oh, is the menu not open? Because I can't see it if I'm completely blind. I can only go off the information you provide me. So that needs to be something that toggles as the menu's opened and closed. But you know what? I think I'm happy with that. You know, I think that's enough issues. The rest of it's pretty good. You've got
issue though. That is an issue.
You've done really well because you've got Araya expanded. Can you see here?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Araya controls. So what these do is they signal to a screen reader when my menu is closed like this. You'll see that it says Araya expanded equals false. So I know that when I go onto that with a screen reader that the menu isn't open, but I also know that it will do something and I'm going to expect it to open something. So this is really good. This is great who's ever done this, by the way, because that's the correct way to do it. And Array controls lets me know what it's controlling. So it's telling me, oh, it's going to control something called mobile menu. And so to link that together, let me show you okay, we've got another problem here. But, so you see this div, it has the ID of mobile menu. So the button is linked to this menu, basically saying, this is what I control, this is what I open and close. So it's really handy for a screen reader user because they know how things are related. So this is fantastic, by the way. This is me praising.
Copy and paste. Okay.
Yeah, the thing that I'm now going to completely eviscerate you for is... And I didn't check this earlier, but now that I'm checking stuff and I'm in vicious mode.
Never check.
Why Why?
I don't know.
Oh, your links.
I don't know, Graham. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to ask, but I definitely don't know.
Your links should be in an unordered list, because there's a brilliant feature for screen reader users yet again. If you put your links within an unordered list, when I jump into this list of links, it will say list 6 items or 5 items or whatever. So it lets me know how many things there are for me coming up. At the moment, it won't do any of that because you've just got links one after the other. The other thing is, Eddie. Oh no!
Just in my defence, I just copied and pasted this from Tailwind. I just copied and pasted it.
This is
maybe
why
I copied and
so
pasted it
problems.
wrong. I don't know. Maybe they
no.
It and I copied
No,
and
you
pasted
won't.
it wrong.
You won't have. Don't worry, Eddie. You won't have. Don't worry. It's not you. It's them. No, it's fine. It's within a nav, which is fantastic. That's what it needs to be. So, the reason landmarks are important is for yet again for screen readers, but also for SEO and everything else. It means that they can jump to certain sections within the page. So if I just minimize this down, see how we've got the main, fantastic, yet again, really good. That's like called a landmark region, and it means that not only can I jump around the page by headings, I can also jump around the page by landmark regions, which gives me an idea of where the page is, how the page is designed. One thing I have noticed though is you have a main, you have a footer, we're really good.
Okay.
We don't have a header. This should be in a header section. So you've got 2 of the main landmarks that you want, but someone missed this div here could just be made into, I think it's this div here. No, sorry. This div here. Yes. So this div, min h full, can be made into, can just literally be switched from a div into a header, and you fix another very minor accessibility issue. You've added a landmark region.
Change div to header. Perfect. Love that. That's a good improvement as well, and not hard to do.
Yeah, the hard one.
Awesome.
The one that's for someone who's a bit more advanced. Most of these have been great first issues. This navigation is not a great first issue. That's probably one for Emma or me or someone similar like that to jump on and
not
have a
me.
look at.
Definitely go ahead. I'm expecting Emma or Graham now to do the hard ones.
To be fair, I could give you you could definitely do this, Eddie. Just have to give you the instructions of what to do, because it needs a little bit of accessibility knowledge to know what to click and what to press and what to put here and there. But yeah, also, did I just notice that was a button, wasn't it? That is actually a button. I think we established that, didn't we? It is a button. You did well. I'll give you a 5 out of 10 for your mobile menu, Eddie. Right.
5 out of 10. What's the overall site looking like out of 10? We had 9 before and 5 now, so it's like 7.
Honestly, honestly, because the standard is so damn low, I'm gonna give you an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10, because other than the fact that I physically can't as a keyboard get to the tags on the search page, nothing has been a blocker. Nothing has stopped me using the site with a keyboard. Nothing would stop me using the site with a screen reader. So you've done well, but like that, it's above and beyond most websites, and that's how depressing it is. Because the fact that we found so many issues just by flipping around. Imagine what your normal site is like.
That's true. Oh yes, Sabrina's right. It's an unordered list. That's correct. Not an ordered list. Yeah,
yes, that is very important. It's an unordered list. However, this is something for whoever had a look at that breadcrumb issue. Your breadcrumbs should be in an ordered list.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let me make a note of that.
What I'll do is when I see the issues, I will try and link to very good examples of like how to do things properly, so people can basically copy paste and then adjust it to the site. Right, I can keep going, Eddie. Like, as you can tell, like I'm only just warming up here, but I know that you were hoping to come to an end, and we've not actually spoken about anything. So, I don't know. Have we got our 10 issues that are good first issues? So we should have 11. We've
got way more than 10. We have actually got. We have got 17.
Amazing. I'm happy.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it's not, because like I said, a lot of them are just like contrast issues. You've not had anything major that's maybe go, oh crap, this is a fix it now problem.
Hey, wait a second. That means I win. You owe me a bit. You just said everyone heard you. There's nothing major, and I was going to buy you a drink.
Eddie, right? Okay.
Major.
Look, I told you I was going to be nice, and now I've changed my mind. Look, that menu is a catastrophic error. It's just it wouldn't stop me using the site. It's a horrible user experience, but I could still get to everything. So that's what I was saying. It's like
you're right.
A major issue.
Drink, no S.
What a blooming tight-fisted so-and-so you are. You don't want to buy me a drink.
I'm driving like 4 hours to see you. Come on.
Do you have any idea how much I charge for doing an accessibility audit like this, Eddie? Gosh, are we going to start this?
That's awesome. That was really, really good.
I'm super happy with that. What I'm going to do very quickly, I've not even got to docs, so I'm going to immediately say things that perhaps people want to look at, but we're not going to do a full sort of check of them. On the maps,
Maps is hard though, right?
Yeah, so same issue with the maps on this bit, by the way. That'll be the same, like you said, it's a component. So I couldn't tab into that. Or clear reset filters, but that could just be because I've not got one.
Yeah, it's
so
disabled.
I can tab to that. So that is a button. Fantastic. Okay. So these just need to be buttons again. Now the maps is difficult because I imagine this isn't something you've built, is it? I imagine this is.
No, it's not.
Let me just have.
I think it's leaflet.
Leaflet. Yeah, it's like yes, it says it bottom corner. Leaflet open map. Right. So you're not going to have much control over it, are you? Really? So, but say that we've got keyboard focusable. That's good. It goes in a very random order around the world, but that's okay. And I can enter with that, and I don't know what. Right, that's horrible with the keyboard, but I really don't think there's much you can do about it with the current component you've got. Also, there is a big issue there. Yet again, I don't know if this is custom or part of it. When I click into someone, this is not accessible as part of keyboard navigation. So the actual speech bubble thing. So I can't. What should happen is when I click this person, this should effectively act like a modal and should trap me inside it. So I can only tab to their name.
The ones inside. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I have no idea if you're going to be able to fix it if this is an external component. The better option is nearly always find a better component than try and fix the one that you've used. You know, that's nearly always going to be the issue. But yeah, it's a horrible experience with a keyboard. But like I said, that's not you. That's not on you. So I'm not going to hold it against you yet. And then playground, interesting. Ooh, interesting. We have form fields. Oh, I know, Eddie. Are you willing to wait 5 or 10 minutes? Because there's one thing I really want to do.
Absolutely. And also, I think Ashish would like an issue. So we'll find one for them to raise.
Okay, right. So let me see if I can find an issue on this page. I'm going to speak a little less about what I'm thinking just to try and get us some problems to find.
I don't want problems. I want solutions, Graham. That's what I pay you for. Solutions, not problems.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The pay has been fantastic, Eddie. If anyone wants to know what it's like working for Eddie, look at me. My Lamborghini's coming next week.
Have you got a $1 GitHub sponsors one-time payment? There you go.
I'd rather not have the money than $1. It's like a kick in the face.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like saying your time was worth $1. It's like I'd be like, no, just don't give me any money. It's fine. Help me.
Graham won, by the way. Graham found a major issue with the mobile navigation. So Graham won.
Toby, was there any doubt? Like, trust me, I can find an issue anywhere when it comes to accessibility. I was always going to win that money. I don't bet unless I'm going to win. I know. So I have found a minor issue. Seems out. Sorry, who was it who wanted the issue? Was it Ashish? Yes, Ashish.
Ashish, yeah. I hope that
this one is yours, and it's super minor, but it's a great one. I'm going to teach you all something very quickly. This is correctly linked as a label. This enter GitHub name, profile JSON below, and preview how it will look. Yep, so it's correctly linked, which is fantastic. The problem is that this is an instruction, not the label for this particular box.
Oh.
So what needs to happen is this text here needs to be moved out into like a paragraph separately.
Okay.
Playground. And then this should just say GitHub username for this particular box. That should be the label. So if I show you
right.
If I show you the HTML, this is the label at the moment. So label 4 equals username, which is correct. That's the way to link it together. But within there, this text should only be GitHub username. And then your label text itself should sit as a paragraph underneath this heading level 1.
Interesting. Okay.
And then that's also correctly linked. Here's a top tip for you as well if you're checking your own sites for... So it's really important on forms that there's a label associated with an input. And there's a really quick way you can check it yourself. If you click on a label, it should focus into the actual input itself. You notice here, I've got my mouse here and I'm clicking on it. It will focus in there. If this wasn't correctly linked, it wouldn't do that. So it's a great quick way of checking if you've linked your labels correctly to your forms or not. So it's a really quick hacky way of doing it. So we've got a form. Let's have a look if we've got another issue. Format. Validate. Right.
Just
okay.
while you're doing that, one sec, just to say, yes, Sabrina, you won't be able to leave a note on an open issue at the moment. Before an issue is triaged, we lock it to try and reduce the notifications. So it's not a perfect solution, but has reduced my notifications quite a lot. But that's why. But if you leave me a note, I can always go update it, or I can unlock it for you to leave a comment. So that's why. So it's nothing you're doing. It's something we're doing. We're trying out on the project to see how it goes. So thank you so much.
I'm intrigued to see the results on that, by the way, because I thought it was quite a good idea. But we'll see if it causes issues, like you said. I kind of liked it though.
Yeah, it has definitely reduced notifications. I think I've gone down from like 5,000 a day to 2,000 a day GitHub notifications. So that has definitely helped. But I appreciate some people can't collaborate on issues. So when they request, they say, I've got a resource or a solution to this issue, or I want to discuss it more, we put a discussion label on it and I unlock it. But it has reduced people from going assigned to me, assigned to me, assigned to me, and it hasn't even been triaged yet, so we might not even be doing it. So it did help. It did help a lot. But it's not perfect.
Yeah. No, like I said, and I've seen how many issues have been raised there now, and yeah, I can see why your notifications are a nightmare, Eddie.
I've got Sarah going through a lot of them with me as well. So, Sarah is helping me manage my notifications. So things that have been merged or addressed by other maintainers, she's just like kind of clearing out for me so I can focus on the ones that need my attention. But it's still really hard to keep up with it. But actually today I'm trying a different way to manage my notifications. So hopefully this week will be a bit easier as well. Let's see.
Awesome. Right. We're gonna do one more thing that I just spotted.
Sure.
And then we're going to maybe have a 5-minute close down, and you do whatever you want to do to close the stream down. So I just spotted this here, right? So my first reaction with any form is to try and submit it without filling everything in. So I went down to this format button, pressed enter, and I noticed that the focus indicator has disappeared off the button below. So I'm 99% certain that's what happened is that when I pressed the format button, someone has loaded in a brand new button in its place for validate. The problem is that if you've deleted the other button, I no longer have any focus on the page. Now, luckily, that can break focus sometimes. Luckily, it hasn't here. I can press tab and I can be back into the validate button. But then I press enter and my notification says valid JSON in the top right. I would imagine for a screen reader, that isn't going to actually say anything because that needs to have something called Array Alive on it. This is all very complicated, so I'll focus on the one issue, which is these buttons down here. And then I tab again, and I'm into preview, and then I click preview, and then there's an error. There's a lot to check on this page for somebody that, like I said, we could do it, but Eddie would be here for another 20 minutes for me to run through it. So I'll tell people what to look at, and then if someone raises a general issue, I will help with comments and stuff when it gets to the triage bit. But there's two problems here. One is the button, instead of being replaced, the text needs to be updated. Because if you're replacing it, like I said, I press enter on a button and then let me reload the page and show you. I'll tell you when I'm pressing enter and stuff. So if I press enter, I have no idea as a screen reader something's happened. And if I keep pressing enter now, nothing's happening because of the fact that that button no longer exists.
Got you.
So that needs the text to be replaced on the button instead of a new button being generated. Same with validate.
Okay.
And then it tells me I've got valid JSON, but that's an alert in the top right. Now, one thing that would take me a second to check, but I couldn't check now, is does that alert announce to screen readers? So the way that we would do that is something called Araya Live. So if you want to make whoever's making this issue, check for Araya Live on notifications, and that the button needs the text replacing rather than being updated. And finally, I click preview, and we have the same thing again. It says GitHub username required. We need to know if that's an alert. What it should do as well is, if there's errors in a form, it should basically show them on the page itself. So we should have here, we should have an error above it saying you've forgotten to fill in your username, or if there's a problem with my JSON, invalid JSON. It should have the errors on the actual form fields themselves. And the reason I'm going quickly is there's also then a load of Araya attributes which should potentially be set in to let people know who are using the screen reader what's wrong with the form. So there's a lot to forms, trust me. It's like one of those things we could have spent an hour on one form.
Wow,
which is why I wanted to see your new form. So when that comes out, we'll do an assessment on it. But when you've got your form, we'll see how many issues, because that's one of the major things that people get wrong.
Got you. Well, I can tell you now it's going to have the same issues because I've literally copied and pasted this form and changed.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So hopefully we can improve this, so therefore I can kind of learn from it and then improve the other forms. So, yeah. So I've put those in the chat. I beat Sabrina, so people can raise issues on that. Again, everyone, please do share the issues. If you haven't raised one or you've just joined and you want a green square on your GitHub, then please raise those issues. If you can add any screenshots, add any more value to those issues, then that would be great. If there's any duplicates, I'm not going to close the new one. I'm going to close the one that has less information. So by adding a screenshot, annotating it, circling it, making it better is more likely to get selected if there's more than one. Zaid asks, do people get hired through open source? Well, my resume is almost a decade out of date because I get hired. I haven't used a recruiter in over a decade because companies come to me. So absolutely, yes, you can. And it's the best way to get hired. I don't know, Graham, if you have any thoughts on that?
There's someone in the chat here, I won't name them, but they're very, very friendly, nice person with a beautiful profile picture. We were having a chat about like where to go because they had very little experience directly in tech. And I just said, get into open source because you get to showcase your skills, you get to showcase your communication, you can network with people. I was like, look, it's definitely if you've not got anything else on your CV, it's the strongest. I think it's the strongest area you could focus on to be able to pad things out and show people you can do the job. However, I've never got a job through open source directly, so I can't comment like you can, Eddie. I would use it more as a tool to bolster my CV and showcase things that perhaps I don't have physical world experience in or I struggle to show. I think that's where open source really shines. I think it's really strong for being able to say, look, I can do this. Here's examples and proof. And finally, the one that I'm really going to be working on over the next few weeks, because it's a tough one to demonstrate, is consistency. The beauty of the contribution graph and everything else is you can just show you're consistently involved in the community or you're consistently working on a project. So that's the big one for me that I'm going to be focusing on in the next few weeks. Because I don't think I've told you, Eddie, but I bought Chris Bonger's website, Daily Dev Tips.
Really?
I'm looking after that at the moment. I'm about to start maintaining that and writing more articles on there and stuff. So that'll be my great way because he's built it all with Astro, so I can actually do contributions to update that site rather than all the other sites I maintain, which are database driven entirely rather than file based.
Interesting. Oh, also, I'd love to hear more about that. That sounds really exciting, and to hear what plans you have for it as well. Maybe we'll stay on after the stream and just catch up for a few minutes. I'd love to get like a highlights reel of it and what your plans are. That sounds super, super exciting. I'd love to just add something more to what you were saying about open source. So Zaid asked, what kind of contributions do you need to get the attention of recruiters? I would say, don't ask questions like, what kind of contribution should I do? What project should I contribute to stand out more? People want to contribute to Kubernetes or React because they're the most stars. those aren't the sort of things you want to do. So for me, I hire a lot of people for my clients. It's one of the consultancy things that I offer. And to me, the repository doesn't really matter. And as Graham mentioned, it's about communication, about consistency. I think is really, really important. You can tell when someone's job hunting because they get all these green squares like a month before, and then then they get no more afterwards, or they get like 100 green squares in like a weekend because they went to a hackathon to try and get a job, and it's not good. It doesn't show your kind of your journey and your growth. And so I think it's important to do little and often. And also, don't remove any of your old projects that you maybe don't like anymore, whatever reason you're not working them. Just leave them public, because again, it shows that you're learning and improving. And also, get involved in code reviews, get involved in issues. People think it's about code, code, code. Actually, that is like one of the last things I actually check. I actually want to see how people collaborate. Do people give context? Like one of the tests I give in an interview, and I'm kind of going a little sidetrack here now, and Graham's probably going to fall asleep. Thanks, Graham. I chat to people about an issue. Like, so for example, we were chatting with Graham about many issues we need to raise for LinkFree, but we chatting with someone about an issue, their idea for a project, whatever it is. I'll ask them to raise the issue, because do they see them right? Following our discussion, I think we should do option one, and that's a really bad issue because someone who wasn't involved in the discussion doesn't know what option one was, or option two or three or whatever. And then someone with a really bad memory like me will forget in the next hour anyway. So I actually need that kind of context when I come back to it. So it's really important. You can see someone who contributes to open source. They'll say, following our discussion, we talked about option one, X, option two, kind of Y, option three. I think we should go with option two because it's given context. So open source people stand out because they got the activity on their profile, and they're just naturally better at collaborating with other people. And we're all remote now, we're all asynchronous. It's so much more important. And are people kind of short? Things get lost in translation. It's the last thing I'll say, I promise. When people review people's pull requests, are they repeating other people's messages? It doesn't add value. It's always got to add value. And it's got to be friendly and constructive. If someone says, I think this can be improved, have you looked at doing this? Then great. But some people say, this is better. Well, who's to say that it's better? We're all learning all the time, and what might be better today is not better tomorrow or yesterday or whatever. So I think it's really important, and you only get that via practice. Zaid, you've made those awesome contributions to LinkFree. I think you're doing great. Just keep going. Keep going. I don't know if Graham's fallen asleep or he's frozen. No, he's there.
No,
Okay,
I'm not frozen or anything. I was just listening and thinking I agreed with everything you were saying, bar 1 point there.
Oh, wow. Ooh, okay, go
on. Which was, you were saying about, actually, it's kind of 2 points, but you didn't say it specifically. One was that you don't think it matters as long as you're contributing regularly. From the question that was asked, I would say, look, if you're trying to get recruiters interested, I would definitely gear up the contributions you make. I would probably say, ironically, fewer but more high quality contributions will be far stronger than if you're contributing a lot. If you're doing a lot of docs, like typo correction stuff, which I know we always say in spaces, and this is one of the nuances that always gets lost. Do that when you're starting. It was one of the first things I did, definitely, was do a docs typo correction just to get used to it. But that's not what you want to showcase to a recruiter, because it doesn't showcase any skill. So I would be more selective while you're on the job hunt. Take some slightly more meaty things that are at the peak of your level, you're just feeling a little uncomfortable with how hard that thing is to fix. You should take things like that, I reckon, because you want the last 20 items to be big, interesting items, not little crappy things.
That's a really good point. I love typo fixes, but Graham's right. I think one thing I've noticed that people, there's tutorial hell and all these things. I think there's good first issue hell. I think I did a tweet on it last week where people just keep going around multiple projects and just doing good first issues. And it's a great place to start, and you might do it for a few weeks or however long. Everyone's different. But if you jump around too many projects just doing good first issues, you'll never dive into that project deep enough, and you never network with the maintainers and the community members, because you want to then kind of break out of good first issue for that project and start doing the more challenging things like Graham said. And then when you ask for help, the maintainers and the community know that you're around for a longer period and you've added so much value already. They'll add value to you, and everyone helps each other. So that's a really, really good point. Obviously, if you outgrow the project or you want to use different technology or you're bored of it or whatever, fine, choose another project, but don't just change just to get good first issues. So I think that's a really, really good point, Graham.
And then there was another, because 100% I agree with that bit. And then there's another, sorry, I've just seen that is now no longer visible. There we go. The other point was, what were you saying? You said you said keep all your old projects.
Yes.
And so I went on, I don't know, I think Dean's gone, but Dean was on here earlier. And I went on his GitHub. And my first thought was, if I was a recruiter going on there, I would be so damn overwhelmed because he's got like 580 odd or something ridiculous repositories. Wow. And I think that you do need to pare back some of the facts. You know, if you're brand new and you've only got 4 or 5, fine. But I think once you get to a certain stage, it becomes overwhelming. And unless you're very careful at curating which ones for people to look at, you're going to see loads of like, oh, I fired this project up just to look at this one little thing. And then, yeah, go ahead, Eddie. I love that you're raising
I'm going to disagree with Graham.
Okay, awesome. And you're probably more an authority. This is just my sort of gut on it.
No, it's a good point. No, it is too much, but I think it's also not too much for 2 reasons. One, the repositories tab, if I remember correctly, is ordered by the recent activity. So if I was to look at someone's profile and they had 500 repositories, I'd probably look at the top 3 or 4 or whatever it is. And also, I would look at their activity at the bottom of their profile. They got pinned repos. I'll look at their ones they've pinned, and at their activity, because I don't just want to see the repositories. I want to see other issues they've raised on repositories that aren't in their project, and pull requests that they maybe be reviewed. Right at the bottom under the green tiles, you've got their recent activity. So I would look more for their recent activity on that. I don't just want to see their repos. I want to see how they collaborate on other people's repos, I suppose.
Yeah, and so the only argument I have against that is, like I said, it's the it's the overwhelm thing. It's like when you see a CV that's got 25 skills listed, you immediately have this heart gut reaction where you go, there's no way you know all that stuff. Of course, and immediately someone's on the back foot. If I see someone with 500 repos, it's like, there's no way you're actively contributing to all of them. It feels like very much like, you just want to be involved in everything. Like I said, the thing is, I know Dean, so I know for the fact, and I'm sorry, I don't normally talk about people who aren't in the chats because it's a rule of mine, but he was just a prime example. Yeah, it was just a prime example where I was just overwhelmed because I was like, what the hell do I look at on your profile? Like, there's just like, wow, what project do I want to look in to know where your skills are? And, it's like you said, I think it's curate when you're job hunting. But, that's just my sort of gut reaction. You are far superior
it's good to
when
get
it comes
different
to the
perspectives. This is a perfect example where I tell everyone, ask in public, because if you DM'd Graham, you'd get his answer. I'm not saying right or wrong. If you DM'd me, you'd get my answer. But if you ask in public, like we've just done, you help other people because they've probably taken something away from the discussion. And also you get to see 2 different perspectives and you can find a balance. You might be like, Eddie's right, or you might be Graham's right, or you might be, they're both right, wrong, and I'll go in the middle. So that's why discussing in public is awesome. It's why I hate DMs. And people say, Eddie, you only reply to me when I write to you in public. So yeah, I ignore DMs. Like the DMs are like, I don't know, low priority when I get time.
Yeah.
Talking about DMs, Graham, I've just DM'd you on the private chat. Have a look when you get a moment. That's okay. DSA, not important. Absolutely. I've never done it. No, I never test for it when I test people. Open source, absolutely. But do various things in open source. Raise issues, put comments, check bugs, review people's pull requests. Don't just focus on, like a lot of people focus too much on commits. You don't need to learn development to get into open source. There's so many people adding value with documentation, improving documentation, being new to a project. You can add so much value. I mean, look at like Sabrina. So if I had to think of 2 people, like if someone said to me, Eddie, name 2 people that you remember from the chat, I'm going to like be completely like, vulnerable here and put myself out there. I remember 2 people from the chat. I remember Zaid and I remember Sabrina. And there's loads of great people in there, don't get me wrong. But if I had to pick 2 that just come to mind instantly like that, and which is what you want your resume to do, it's because Zaid asked lots of great questions. And so that stuck in my mind. And questions are really good. Good questions are valuable. And Sabrina added value by putting the titles of the issues we were discussing. So with your resume, with your GitHub open source contributions, you want to stand out, right? If someone looked at 10 CVs, why should they remember you? What did they look at an issue of yours or a pull request of yours that stuck in their mind? That's what you want to do. And Graham is so right about too many skills. I was trying to look at Upwork to see if I could get someone to help me with one of the issues I'm working on. It's quite a big one. I was like, right, I can just hire someone on Upwork to help me for a couple of days. I was searching for Next.js, and they've got Next.js, JavaScript, Java, Python, PHP. Like everyone had like everything listed, and I was like, well, they clearly can't do all that. I just want someone to say a smaller set of skills and focus. And you're absolutely right, Graham. I couldn't find anyone, so I didn't hire anyone in the end, but I did the work myself. But I was going to try and take 1 or 2 days off, but I worked over the weekend, so it's fine.
There was something interesting. So first of all, yes, totally agree on that. Look, if you say that you know 50 things, it tells me you know nothing. That's my sort of like gut reaction always. Like the more people like to say, "Oh, I know all of these things," I'm like, "So you've done Hello World in like 20 different languages and you know nothing usefully." Just lead with your strongest foot. If you're very strong at one thing, put that forward. And then just, if the job you're applying for happens to mention another language and you're familiar with it, just put that you're familiar with it. But
it's
the
true.
thing you were saying there, Eddie, we were saying about like, who was it who asked the question? Sorry, I've missed. Was it Zaid or somebody who asked? Who asked the question about? Oh, Nabin. Yeah, there's something that Eddie and I discussed in the space a while ago, and here's a fun project for someone if you can ever work out how to do it. Oh, I've frozen. Typical. I'll keep talking while I fix that.
Okay, no worries.
So, there's a big gap where a lot of open source projects need design work, and I'm literally looking at LinkFree now and going, I imagine Eddie is hard on with redesign and stuff like that, and trying to find good designers and stuff to contribute and everything
I've left that to
else.
Sarah now. I've left that to Sarah to do all that.
But no, the point being is, if someone can find a way of making it more accessible for designers to be able to get involved in open source projects,
100%.
it is a massive gap. So if you have any design skills at all, there are so many open source projects screaming out for someone to just do them a logo or give them a color palette, or they don't have to be full designs. It can be just small bits to help the project. And
which is what the projects want, to be honest. They don't want like a massive change because a lot of work. They want little incremental improvements. So that's such a great point, Graham.
Wow, I've crashed already.
You've frozen again. And just while you're doing that, I was just going to say, I think there's a community called Open Source Designs. I met them in the event FOSDEM in Brussels. There's a free conference they have in Brussels every February. I'm hopefully going to go with LinkFree because only open source projects are allowed to go this February. Yeah, we need more designers in open source, like Emma said, and more, accessibility, more testing. Like people don't want to do testing on projects, manual or automated with code, whatever it is. Get involved. Anything that adds value. I think that's the important part. It's about making an improvement, and it could be the experience from the contributors or the members or the users. It's like there's just so many improvements that can be made. But go ahead, Graham. Sorry, you're back.
Yeah, no, I basically finished anyway. I was just saying that like designers, if we can find a way of integrating that into open source, it would make open source more appealing, because at the end of the day, a lot of the open source stuff doesn't tend to be as pretty as it could be. And it's kind of like that's a missing. I feel like it's a very undervalued part of open source. Like a lot of things aren't as pretty as their non-open source counterparts, and we all make judgments, even developers. And if something looks pretty and feels good to use, you tend to use it more. So I think it would be a win-win-win for if we got more designers involved, open source projects would do better. There'd be more money available to pay the designers, so they'd make more money. It's like a nice, dog feeding is the term for it.
Absolutely. Okay, follow Graham on LinkFree. Link is in the chat again. Graham, thank you so much for this amazing, amazing live stream. I have learned so much. I know everyone else has, and I'm sure there's loads of awesome issues that we need to go and fix. I will triage them and mark them ready for dev, and hopefully people can raise some pull requests while I'm sleeping tonight, and we can get them merged tomorrow. Anything you'd like to shout out? You got any Twitter Spaces coming up or anything like that?
I'm at an in-person event next Thursday, so I don't. Emma, you're in the UK. If you can make yourself to Middlesbrough, it'd be amazing to say hello in person. But if not, we'll have a coffee soon anyway. But no, I have nothing to shout out other than obviously, hopefully everybody knows I'm on the job hunt at the moment. So if you spot anyone who needs some DevRel, and in particular, you know, more towards the marketing or product side of things, then give me a shout. You know, I'm interested to see what's out there.
Awesome. Sounds good. And just to say, I think Deepak's talking about DevOps. Just like with design, DevOps is needed more in open source as well. You know, we're like on LinkFree, for example, we were on a call yesterday in EddieHub, and we're making improvements to the Docker containers and various other things. I think there's still some pull requests and works going on those. And the other projects use Kubernetes, and there's always, it's just, they're real world projects with like just so many different aspects. So you can definitely get involved in any area. Mikkel, awesome to see you here. Long time. Thanks for joining and supporting. Really appreciate it. And Sabrina says that was great. Learned had so much fun. Sabrina, thanks for the issue that you mentioned. I will sort that out after the live stream and just reply to you as well. Yeah, make sure docs aren't out of date. Docs get out of date so quickly. So read through the docs, see if it makes sense still. They get out of date, you know, so quickly. So yeah, super important. Thank you all. Oh, Krish is done with the space already. Krish, I was going to join you afterwards, but you're back from the space. I hope it went well. Thanks everyone for the amazing support. Okay, everyone, I'll see you in EddieHub. We geek out every day. Link in the description below. We've got Discord and org, and just, I love geeking out with you all. Graham, stay on for a few minutes. I can chat to you about your new project ideas afterwards as well.
All right then, Eddie.
So
thank you, everyone.
Wait a second. Emma's going to go to Middlesbrough in July. Is that for the conference? I'm speaking at that conference. I get to see Emma in July. Woohoo! Graham, join us.
Wait. Is that the one that's organised by Jamie?
You have to speak to Sarah. I don't know. I just said, yeah, it sounds great. I'll talk.
Because
yeah,
if you are, yeah, I've got a free ticket to that, because the talk I'm doing on Thursday is like the precursor to that concert. So
that makes sense.
That conference. So yeah,
cool.
if you go into that, then that's the ideal one. That would be amazing to all meet up. Middlesbrough front end.
Oh my god.
That's the conference name. Right, yes. In that case, I'm there. I'm the backup speaker. I'm a backup speaker, so if you don't turn up, Eddie, I'll take your slot.
Oh, can't wait to geek out with you. That's been amazing. And hopefully everyone watching is going to join. Even if you're other side of the world, come for like, you know, the conference would be great. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Get some rest, which is why I like to do shorter streams, because it's the weekend and I want you all to get some rest. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. And a big shout out to Graham as well. I really appreciate it. Graham, stay on the live stream if you can. A couple of minutes. I'd love to chat to you afterwards.
Will do. See you all. Bye. Bye-bye.